And welcome to the White River Buddhist Temple's September Shutsukihoyo's Memorial Service. Please, Gasho, put your hands together for opening meditation. How joyous I am, my heart and mind being rooted in the Buddha ground of the universal Tao, and my thoughts and feelings flowing within the Dharma ocean, which is beyond comprehension. I am deeply aware of the Tathagata's immense compassion, and I sincerely revere the benevolent care behind the Master's teaching activity. Namo Butsu. Namo Butsu. Our service will start today with Sambu Jo on page 21 of our book, followed by Jusei on page 23. During the reading of Jusei, I will be reciting the names of those who have passed away in the month of September, and the families can come up to Oshogo. And if there are any names I have omitted or not read, you may still come up to Oshogo.
Amida.
Edwin Arima, Jo Toshio Nishimoto, Jack Schultzberg, Mei Kurie Kajikami, Edward Tanaka. Takejiro Hama, Lloyd Herndon, Nancy Toie Fujikawa, John H. Hamakami Sr., Helen H. Mizuki,
Namo Amida Butsu, 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 Namo Amida Butsu.
Please rise if you are able for the reading of the three treasures on page 3, and remain standing afterwards for the Gatha-Namo. Three treasures. Fortunate is it to be born into human life. Now we are living it. Rare is it to encounter the teachings of the Buddha. Now we hear it. If we do not seek the truth of the Dharma in this life, in what life shall we find it? Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in Buddha. May we all together absorb into ourselves the principle of the way to enlightenment and awaken within us our highest aspiration. I take refuge in Dharma. May we all together be submerged in the depth of the Dharma and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in Sangha. May we all together become units in true accord, in a life of harmony, in the spirit of universal brotherhood, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through ages of myriad of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful teaching. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida
Namo Amida
Butsu.
Butsu. And we'll have the Gatha-Namo Amida Butsu on page 137. Thank you. You may now be seated. We now have the special privilege of hearing a Dharma message from Irene Sensei.
Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
There are many of you here in the Hondo today, and I welcome you, and I also like to welcome all of the viewers online today. Thank you for joining this monthly Shotsuki Hoyo service at White River Buddhist Temple. I am Reverend Irene Goto. I am one of the volunteer minister's assistants, at Seattle Bethlehem Buddhist Temple, and I'm here on the behest of Rinban, Reverend Katsuya Kusunoki. Thank you very much for inviting me. Please join me in Gassho to listen to a passage revealing the true practice of the Pure Land Way. O Buddha, the wisdom of immeasurable light, whose body is like a mountain of pure gold, I now in body, speech, and thought place hands together and bow my head in worship. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Shotsuki Hoyo is the monthly memorial service sponsored by the temple to remember past loved ones who have passed away in the month of September. Those loved ones who have passed, their names were printed on the program, and you remembered them by offering incense during sutra chanting. My condolences to you for your loss. The depth of your sorrow is a measure of your love for them. Memorial services are also an opportunity to hear the Buddha Dharma. So today I would like to share my thoughts of how our home altars, also known as Butsudan, can help us to remember our loved ones and to cherish our lives that we still carry on today. But I also think home altars, or Butsudan, can help us pass Jodo Shinshu Buddhism on to others. In other words, to help Jodo Shinshu survive, thrive, and grow. First, let me explain what the home altar, or Butsudan, is. It is a miniature of the altar area that you see here in the main hondo. I've also brought my Butsudan from home. It's sitting on the naichin here. The Butsudan has articles that accompany it in a set arrangement. Basically, it's flowers, candle, incense burner. We traditionally have a home altar in our homes. It comes in various sizes and in various stages of adornment. They have been a part of the Japanese Buddhist chapels and homes since 655 or the 7th century. But it has only been since the 17th century that they became common in common households. In those earliest times, Buddhist priests were required by the government to inspect households for proper maintenance of the altar. I inherited my parents' Butsudan, but it wasn't until the jolting start of the COVID lockdown that I made going before my altar, bowing and offering incense, was made a regular practice. Now, as the first year turned into another year, my resolve and perhaps my gratitude waned, and I began slacking off, being lazy. My attachments, or bono, dragged me down, and I didn't do my daily practice in front of Butsudan. With the easing of COVID restrictions, and now the start of a new school year and the fall equinox, or Ohigan, I feel that now is a good time for me to begin again to try to make practicing before my home altar a ritual. Something I do every day and every night, like washing my face every morning and brushing my teeth every night, maybe that's not a very reverent metaphor because I'm not often mindful when doing these rituals. But to begin again makes me think of beginner's mind. In Buddhism, beginner's mind is a mind that tries to look at the world as if it is ever new, always new, fresh. For this to happen, we need to let go of our most of our preconceptions, to empty our minds, so to speak. Because if you don't have an empty mind, you cannot bring in new information and new habits. Beginner's mind also conjures up meditation and mindfulness. Although we Jodo Shinshu, or Shin Buddhists, do not have a tradition of sitting meditation, for me, the practice of going before the Obutsudan, offering incense, lighting the candle, arranging the flowers, putting my hands together in gasho, bowing, have a mindful and meditative aspect. I appreciate that I am alive when I am concentrating on the Obutsudan, and that I continue to live because of the causes and conditions that have happened for me, thanks to Amida Buddha. If I felt some anger or resentment, disappointment or sadness, this simple ritual quiets my mind and I reflect. I realize those feelings of disappointment or sadness are of my own making. I step away, I bow, I feel freer and more relaxed. Like other aspects of Jodo Shinshu, or Shin Buddhism, it was the immigrant Japanese that first brought its teachings to North America. It was not the missionaries that brought it here. The immigrants came first, and then, after a while, they begged for Jodo Shinshu ministers to come to teach them, to comfort them during stressful and hard times. They built their own Obutsudan while internment concentration camp. Although it may seem like the Obutsudan is a Japanese cultural article, that it might not necessarily be Jodo Shinshu. Reverend Jeff Wilson, a scholar of American Buddhism, reminds us that Shinran Shonin did not mean for Shinshu to be exclusive to the Japanese culture. Jodo Shinshu is meant for everyone. So even though it might be culturally Japanese, Jodo Shinshu is available to everyone. My grandmother had an Obutsudan. She lived up the road a piece. And my cousin who lived with her said she remembers Bachan praying before it and seemingly being comforted by the ritual. Cousin Connie took the Obutsudan home with her, although she wasn't even Jodo Shinshu or Shin Buddhist. And now our niece has put that Obutsudan reverently up in her home. She recently asked me how to arrange the articles for it. And she, this last Obon, danced at the Oregon Buddhist Bon Odori. Maybe Amida Buddha is getting to her. But regardless of whether she is Buddhist or not, she is a kind, compassionate person. I think Amida Buddha is getting to her. In addition, my aunt, who lived down the road, had a large Obutsudan in her home, and I remember its presence. It's in her living room with all the past loved ones' pictures. beside it. And I found out before the pandemic that her nephew, John, inherited that obutsudan. I had worried about what had happened to it after my aunt passed away, but it is being taken care of by a devout Jodo Shinshu Buddhist. I remember my mother sitting in front of our home obutsudan, lighting candle, arranging the flowers, burning incense, and chanting. She didn't do it every morning and every night, but she did it periodically and often. She did regularly put her hands together in gasho and say, Namo Amida Butsu. And when she cooked rice, she would hand me the rice offering for me to place it in the altar. So that's what I did. She would put the rice in the bubangi, and then I would take it to the altar. That was as far as my Buddhist practice went in those days. I guess the rest I absorbed, but the rest didn't surface until many, many years later. And just the presence of an obutsudan in a home has an influence on us. One of our members brought his family to our temple because he remembers playing at his friend's house where there was this strange box-like object in the middle of their living room, and no one really talked about it, but he could tell that it was something to be revered. So he remembers it now, and that was an obutsudan in the home, and so that brought him to our temple. So I would like to begin my practice again. It will be a meditative and mindful practice. To remember to go to Amida first before having my cup of morning tea. To start, I might just bow, just gasho, and say good morning, and recite Namo Amida Butsu. At Seattle Betsui, we have some 30 orphaned obutsudan that have been donated by families who no longer have a need for them. I would say we've adopted out about 20 in addition to those 30. Most have been adopted by temple members, others by descendants of Shin families who don't come to temple. A few to newcomers, to non-Japanese. I've gotten inquiries from as far away as Maryland and Kentucky about adopting an obutsudan. But shipping them is a bit of a deterrent. One obutsudan owner had hers shipped from Hawaii, and it was damaged in the process. She asked us to refer her to someone who could repair it. It meant that much to her. We did find someone. You can also find butsudan for sale on eBay and from retail stores in California, Oregon, and Japan. I mentioned Reverend Jeff Wilson earlier. He also reminds us that Buddhism assimilates the culture of its surroundings. So the obutsudan, I feel, does not need to be in a box form, or as Reverend Ruth Tabra describes, a house-like form. One of our members adopted just a standalone gohonzon, just the script of Namo Amida Butsu, and set it up in her own arrangement in her home. She places a photo of her late father alongside the arrangement, not within it, and it brings her peace. a similar piece that another adopter of a house-type Obutsudan brings by placing a photo of his past wife alongside, not within, the Obutsudan. Another recent adopter looked at all the Obutsudan that we had to offer, and that same day took it home and he emailed me and said, it brings him great joy. So although Obutsudan are being orphaned, they are also being adopted. They are bringing comfort and joy to new homes. Because I see the interest in them, often for remembering loved ones, I think Obutsudan do have an important place and a role for continuing the Jodo Shinshu tradition and keeping it alive. I didn't realize until I was writing this that probably if there wasn't a Obutsudan in my household and I was not asked to put up the rice offering, I probably wouldn't be Jodo Shinshu today. It just occurred to me. Because as I was growing up, my parents wanted me to have a religious education, so they sent me to Christian church through high school. But I did offer obutban, or the rice offering, to the Buddha. So what I've tried to do today is explain how we must cherish our Obutsudan to help us carry on our tradition. Those who have observed you and us going before the shrine or going before the altar might influence them to carry on the tradition. Before I conclude, I would like to acknowledge that today is September 11th, 2022, the anniversary of the day in history that changed our lives. This day is the memorial for 9/11 that happened 21 years ago. This week marks the passing of Queen Elizabeth III and also the commemoration of nearly 5 months' imprisonment of Japanese Americans at the nearby Puyallup Assembly Center in 1942. And of course, it's been 2.5 years since the start of COVID-19 restrictions, where many people suffered and many died. There is flood, famine, disease, homelessness, fire, so much suffering. May we reflect on how we can help relieve some of the pain and suffering of so many in the world by observing a few moments of silence for them and for our loved ones who we remember today. Mokto. O Buddha, the wisdom of immeasurable light, whose body is like a mountain of pure gold, I now, in body, speech, and thought, place hands together and bow my head in worship. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namandabs, namandabs, namandabs. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them after service. Thank you.
Thank you
very much, Irene Sensei, for your Dharma message today. Now, if you're able, please rise for the Gatha-Namo on page 153 and remain standing afterward for the daily creed of Jodo Shinshu. Please turn to page 8 and read along with me the daily creed of Jodo Shinshu. Realizing enlightenment is assured and reciting the Butsu, I shall live my life cheerfully and positively. Understanding the oneness of life and cultivating self-reflection, I shall diligently attend to my life's tasks in gratitude. Recognizing the Dharma path, I shall spread the teachings of the Buddha. Appreciating the Buddha Dharma, I shall respect and help others, working for the good of society. Namo Butsu. Namo Butsu. Namo Butsu. You may have be seated. Are there any first-time guests today? Okay. Seems like not. Are there any announcements?
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Jodo Magnin, President of the Buddhist Women's Association here at White River. Just want to remind our members that our fall meeting is coming. It's on November 20th. I know thoughts of turkeys are way too early to think about that. But I have like a month ahead of time to get things ready. So if there's something you want to bring up or you want to discuss the meeting with me, email me or see me over there, or I can give you my phone number. We can talk about if there's anything you'd like to bring up. I know we've been pretty quiet trying to adjust to all the world conditions. And anyway, if there's something that's on your mind, I'll let you know. Thank you very much.
Just a quick reminder to our board members that we'll have our board meeting directly after the service in the back over there. Thank you.
Good morning. For those of you, while we were off during the month of August, we did a little cleaning of the storeroom and the office. In the multi-purpose room over here, there's a table that says Goodwill and a table that says Free. Please go over. If you would like any of those items, you're welcome to take them, because after today, we will be taking them all over to Goodwill. But we're trying to get ready for when we get our new minister and get things cleaned up here. So please help yourself to any of those items on those two tables in that room.
I think I have 3 announcements. You can sign up for the Northwest Buddhist Convention online. I haven't quite figured out how to do that. Just send him an email and put your name and address.
There's a link. in the email that we got?
I
Is it there? Or you can go
I
check
tried
out.
to fill it out, but anyway, but you're supposed, anytime you can register, and you can, it can be online participation, you don't have to go there. And anyway, that's my first one. And then Seattle Buddhist Women's Association is having a sale called Ba-chan's Closet on October 1st. So if you'd like something Japanese, dishes, nice material, Japanese motif type things, come to our temple on October 1st from about 9 until 3, I think, anyway. And then there was one more. Oh, salmon dinner. That's right. You can also purchase, order salmon dinner that is made by Seattle Betsling online. Please do so. Thank you. 24th is the deadline. Okay. Don't forget. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good meal for $20. So thank you for coming today to our Shoski Hoyo for the month of September, and please have a safe drive home. And thank you. Oh my gosh, yes, that's another announcement. Because of the convention next week, there is no service here at Temple this coming Sunday. Thank you for reminding me. So.